LA This Week.
The city is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the killers of a beloved father who was mercilessly gunned down in this alleyway in Leimert Park last September. I'm Gil Reyes with a story next.
Denim Day is not just about empowering women to wear jeans to work. It's about empowering them to say no to sexual violence. I'm Anna Marcos, and we'll have more on this event coming up.
I'm Rasha Goel. Up next, how the city is celebrating and recognizing Jewish history and culture.
Hello and welcome to LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yana Kay. The opioid epidemic is growing, and LA is no exception. But now City Attorney Mike Feuer is targeting 9 companies for falsely advertising their addictive and often fatal drugs. Anna Marcos has more.
You are watching a couple as they OD on an opioid. Opioid addiction now a full-grown epidemic taking over the country. And City Attorney Mike Feuer wants to take the buzz out of opioids by going after 9 manufacturers and distributors. He has joined a multi-district lawsuit involving several states. It accuses the 9 companies of false marketing and advertising, of misleading doctors and patients, downplaying opioids' addictive and often fatal effects.
Opioids have destroyed countless families, lives, neighborhoods, entire communities throughout the United States. Oxycodone, fentanyl, codeine, hydrocodone, methadone, OxyContin.
The lawsuit also charges the companies with failing to report suspicious sales and asks them to pay damages for their actions.
There was a MacArthur Park doctor who prescribed 73,000 OxyContin pills with a street value of $6 million in 4 months. The manufacturers and distributors did nothing to cut off that doctor's access.
City leaders say 17,000 people died in 2016 of opioid overdoses, and that was just the legal drugs. It doesn't even include drugs gotten off the streets.
When people become addicts on the streets of our city, when we see the numbers of tents beginning to multiply around Los Angeles over the last few years, we know that the source for many of the people out there, or the reason they stay out there, is their addiction.
I will not let Los Angeles become the next West Virginia or Ohio when it comes to the devastating effects of the opioid crisis.
In LA, addiction and overdose rates have started to climb, but these city leaders are going to fight to stop this killer in its tracks. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Manufacturers named in the lawsuit include Purdue, Janssen, Endo, Cephalon, Insys, and Mallinckrodt. The city hopes a big reward will flush out the suspects who shot and killed an Uber driver, then stole his car. Gil Reyes reports from Leimert Park.
Police are offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the killers of Philip Osby, a beloved dad and Uber driver, brutally gunned down in the street during the early morning hours in Leimert Park. Osby's relatives spoke to reporters but did not want to reveal their names.
My dad was a firm believer in God, and I just want to say to those who know something, let God lead you to help us solve this. Imagine if this was your family, if you lost a loved one, if this was your dad.
Police say the body of 59-year-old Philip Osby was found here in an alley just off the 2600 block of Vernon Avenue last September. Police say the suspects, one of them armed with a shotgun, ordered Osby out of his car. They then ordered him onto the ground. He complied. That's when one of the suspects shot him in the back. It's believed the suspects then took off in his vehicle. Police have recovered Osby's stolen Hyundai, but still missing are the 2 suspects. Police have released their photos taken from a surveillance camera. Do you know who they are?
This is still a very open investigation. We're still pursuing multiple leads, but we've come to a point where we realize that we also need the community's help.
Osby's wife has a message for the suspects.
They just do the right thing, turn themselves in, and ask God to forgive them.
Anyone with more information on this case is urged to call LAPD detectives at 323-786-5110. You can also leave tips anonymously at 1-877-LAPD 24/7. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Police say Osby was not driving for Uber at the time of the killing and had no ties to the Vernon Avenue neighborhood where he was murdered. The mayor is pushing his plan, A Bridge Home, as a creative pathway to more permanent housing for the homeless. The idea, to get people off the street while more permanent housing gets built. Anna Marcos has more.
We are here to make sure that every Angelino has a place to come home to.
They may be a diverse group of business owners, but these Koreatown residents are all behind city leaders' plan to build temporary shelters throughout the city. Mayor Eric Garcetti's plan, A Bridge Home, wants to put aside $20 million in the next budget to build the temporary shelters to go up in unused city properties. This one will go up in the Wilshire Koreatown area.
These aren't just beds, they are a pathway home, addiction treatment, health care, referrals to permanent places to live. Housing first is still a guiding principle of our strategy. We know that that is the long-term solution. We know that services and outreach has to be ramped up, and over 1,000 jobs are being hired or have been hired thanks to the voters because of Measure H. But this is filling the hole in between.
Some call it creative shelter, some a path to more permanent housing. But the mayor wants to get every council member involved to find city properties in their districts. Council President Herb Wesson has taken up the challenge.
We're going to have to figure out what is it like to have this site here close to restaurants and a thriving area. I have a feeling that the people who go to those restaurants are going to feel a lot better when they know that there are people that are actually housed and not out on the street.
I will be sitting down with each council member. I started that with Councilmember Nuri Martinez and with MAPS and asking them, where are your big encampments? Where can we find property together? How can we engage neighborhood councils and community members?
The notion of NIMBY, not in my backyard, persists. It is important to acknowledge that the homelessness has become our collective, most prevalent and the biggest issue.
More and more residents, city leaders say, are realizing that homelessness and its solutions are everyone's challenge. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
City leaders estimate these shelters can go up and be ready in 3 months to a year. It's one of the toughest questions in the immigration debate. Should undocumented immigrants be allowed to have driver's licenses? Many people say yes, because this makes our streets safer. Gil Reyes reports on a landmark moment for this hard-fought California law.
Today we celebrate 1 million drivers who have this. They have their driver's license.
Immigrant rights activists at City Hall celebrate a milestone, the 1 millionth California driver's license issued to undocumented immigrants under Assembly Bill 60. The measure was supported by LA City Councilman Gilbert Cedillo. His fight for the right goes back more than 20 years to his days in the state legislature.
I did so because of the incredible love that I had for my wife, Ruby. She committed me before she passed to get this job done. And it's that power of love that continued to move us forward during the most difficult and isolated and challenging times of this struggle.
Even today, AB 60, authored by then Assemblyman Luis Alejo in 2013, has its critics. Some say it rewards undocumented residents with privileges they don't deserve. But others call it an effective safety measure. Supporters point to the fact that licenses do require passing driving tests to ensure people know the rules of the road. Having licenses might also discourage drivers afraid of being deported from fleeing accident scenes. A Stanford University study seems to back that claim, finding there were 4,000 fewer hit-and-run crashes in the law's first year.
There's lessons to be learned, and we will continue to win with DACA, immigration reform, dignity, and rights for all working men and women. Mil gracias.
At City Hall, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The councilman's late wife, Ruby Cedillo, died of breast cancer in 2002. Denim Day is known as the day people wear jeans to work, but it's got a deeper meaning. It's a stand against sexual violence and all forms of sexual harassment. Anna Marcos takes us to the rally.
Rape culture ends and it all ends today. I don't need to say no because I never said yes.
A spirited rally on this Denim Day, the sexual violence prevention campaign has added meaning this year as it joins the Me Too movement with a strong message: sexual harassment not on my watch, and a mission to end rape culture now. The voices of the victims span all races and cultures.
As early as 3 years old, I think that's as far as I can remember, I remember being sexually abused. I remember my stepfather coming into my room at night, fondling me, touching me. I remember him making me wash up and shower because I needed to smell good for him.
For a long time, our society has normalized the rape culture.
The story goes, the man is my cousin-in-law, and I am 6 years old. His penis is a strange creature in his hands.
It made me think that I was unworthy, that I was inadequate, that I was tainted, that I was undeserving of love, that I was unlovable, and I actually believed that it was my fault. What must be wrong with me that from an early age that I had to endure this?
City leaders also taking a stand, declaring City Hall a harassment-free zone. They are working to make harassment and sexual assaults easier to report in the City Hall workplace.
I want to say to the men as well, this is your issue too. This is not a women's issue. This is a human issue.
Your silence is complicity in this situation and it needs to end now. If you see it, you must report it.
Time's up, men, and it's been up for a long time.
But the stories of sexual violence don't just end on the steps of City Hall. They're everywhere, including out here on the streets. City leaders say 91% of women who end up on the street have been victims of physical or sexual violence.
I've been living outside for 27 years. And ever since I got here, I'm being harassed and everything.
But for those marking this day, wearing jeans and speaking out just might start to turn things around.
The story goes, every woman has a story.
I matter, and if I can use my voice to make it so this doesn't happen to another person, then so be it.
From big to smaller yet, the change has begun. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
LA Metro officials also joined the rally, declaring the Metro transit system a harassment-free zone as well. Well, May is the month dedicated to paying tribute to the generations of Jewish Americans who have helped form the fabric of American history, culture, and society. Los Angeles has been home to large populations of the Jewish community. Rasha Goel has more.
Yeah, now I'm at City Hall where officials kicked off Jewish Heritage Month, celebrating and recognizing Jewish history and culture. And here's an interesting fact if you didn't know, but Mayor Eric Garcetti is the city's first elected Jewish mayor.
I'm the first elected Jewish mayor and very proud of that. But we, as was mentioned, we have so many firsts that were here in Los Angeles. Our first Jew, Jacob Frankfurt, arrived in 1841. Morris Goodman was the first Jewish city council member, and that was in 1850. This was a town that didn't really care back then about whether you were Jewish or not. It opened itself up.
Throughout the 1920s and 30s, about 40% of the population in Boyle Heights was Jewish. The core of the community was Brooklyn Avenue, since renamed Cesar Chavez Avenue, which hosted a string of Jewish-owned businesses, including the original Cantor's Deli.
The 5th Council District is also proud of giving birth to Bet Tzedek Legal Services on Fairfax Avenue, on being the first home in Los Angeles to many Holocaust survivors, as well as immigrants from the former Soviet Union and Iran, as well as the location of the Museum of Tolerance and the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
The overwhelming story of Jews in LA is one of triumph. Whether it is the great storytelling culture brought from the old country that founded many of the major film studios that would ultimately shape global culture, or the love of scholarship that founded many of the great institutions here in Los Angeles.
Councilmember Krekorian talked about the similarities between the Armenian and Jewish communities.
A common history of two ancient peoples who were primarily diasporan peoples throughout their history, who longed for a free and independent homeland and kept that as a vision and a dream that maintained us united for over the course of centuries. Both of our communities found refuge here in Los Angeles.
A lot of folks, when you think about Jewish heritage, people get confused because, yes, it's a religion. Judaism is a religion, but it's also a culture. It's also an ethnicity.
An exhibit is on display for the month of May in City Hall, highlighting Jewish history and the contributions in Los Angeles.
And it's so beautiful that the city has come to recognize that and have come together to celebrate the Jewish community and all of its accomplishments.
Jewish Heritage Month recognizes the unique and colorful past of the community while celebrating the present and future. From City Hall, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Are you finally ready to move out of your apartment and buy that first house? Well, for a lot of people, this isn't easy, but free workshops sponsored by the city are helping to make the American dream of owning a home come true. Gil Reyes has more.
Get a copy of your credit report.
Like these other renters intently listening, Terry Bistline says she's finally doing it. She's finally buying a house.
Because the rents are exorbitant today, and it makes sense to invest in your own home than to pay somebody else.
This seminar, hosted by the group called New Economics for Women, showed people how to buy that first home, offering tips on how to get a mortgage, building the necessary savings to secure loans, and avoiding predatory lenders. The workshop took place at Councilman Curran Price's district office in South Los Angeles.
Many families believe that home ownership is out of their reach because they don't have the down payment, or maybe they don't have the credit profile to be able to get a home loan. And so I would invite those individuals to attend one of our workshops so that they can learn more about the programs available to them.
LA City also offers low-income first-time home buyers up to $60,000 in financial aid if they qualify. More free seminars are coming up. Log on to neweconomicsforwomen.org/homebuyer to register. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The LA Rams Cleats for Character program inspires young sports-minded kids from the inner city, and what bigger inspiration than former NFL player Jonathan Franklin. And Marcos brings us his inspiring story.
Former NFL football player Jonathan Franklin was once an inspiration out in the field, but even off the field, he is still inspiring his community in South LA to dream big and become something. The former UCLA guard and running back got drafted into the NFL, where he played with the Green Bay Packers.
So essentially, Jonathan Franklin grew up in South Central LA and went to Dorsey High School.
Against all odds, he got to play in the big time. Then a severe spinal injury sidelined Franklin, but he wasn't done with football. He now works for the LA Rams, giving back to the community by inspiring kids like this team of young varsity football players at Locke High School in South LA, teaching them that while football may be their life, there is also life after football.
I want you to know your worth goes beyond just the game of football.
Franklin is giving out gear and shoes and some words of wisdom as part of the Rams' Cleats for Character program.
The reason of that is to instill in the power of education, character, and goal setting within their lives to look beyond just the game of football and self-worth and who they are and confidence while they're playing this game.
And in this empowerment session, the young men get to talk about their own dreams and goals.
I just want to be successful so that my younger siblings could always have something to fall back on.
It's a blessing to actually have people who've been to where I want to get to actually come and talk to us about how their life is going and the stuff that they've been through to get to where I want to be in the future.
I think it's amazing that the Rams are looking at Locke High School, because it's like a ghetto school, but it's good that they're looking at us.
You know, we an inner city school, kind of underlooked, so they just want to show some support.
That support comes with hope. Hope that even a kid from an inner city school in South LA can dream big and make it big. and still be making it big even after his goals have changed. I'm Anna Margos for LA This Week.
The Rams Cleats for Character program visits schools throughout the LAUSD system. Metro officials promote worker safety, the city celebrates Cinco de Mayo, and a dangerous intersection in North Hollywood just got a lot safer. All these stories in Citybeat. In commemoration of National Safety Week in the city, Metro officials called on construction workers and contractors to always be mindful of their safety as they perform various infrastructure projects in the region. Metro's Purple Line Extension Project, Crenshaw LAX Transit Corridor, and the Regional Connector, among other projects.
We're highlighting making safe choices, thinking before you act, and act in a safe way.
The Latino community came out to celebrate Cinco de Mayo in the city. One celebration took place at the Los Angeles Historic State Park in downtown LA, featuring traditional live music and food, along with dozens of other vendors. Cinco de Mayo is an annual celebration held on May 5th. The date is observed to commemorate the Mexican Army's unlikely victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862.
I feel that we should all get together and celebrate Cinco de Mayo and be proud of our heritage.
City Councilmember Krekorian activated a new traffic signal at Whitsett Avenue and Vaux Street in North Hollywood, an intersection often used by neighborhood kids to access the city's Whitsett soccer complex. The new signal is the result of funds Councilmember Krekorian secured to improve pedestrian and bicycle safety in the San Fernando Valley.
When you have a street with 17,000 cars a day, many of which are speeding and distracted, that creates a great danger for those kids who are trying to come to those parks. It's our responsibility to eliminate that danger and make sure that they can utilize their park and enjoy their neighborhood in a safe way.
It's a day to create an impact for generations to come while building a sustainable environment today. Rasha Goel has more on how Angelinos came together to help beautify their city on a tradition that's over 100 years old.
With shovels in hand, volunteers of all ages were ready to get their hands dirty as they planted new trees in celebration of Arbor Day. Arbor Day is an annual observance that celebrates the role of trees in our lives and promotes tree planting and care.
All of you are here making a difference for future generations. A lot of people talk about community beautification. You're here today making it happen. A lot of people talk about fighting against climate change. You're here today making it happen. A lot of people talk about biodiversity. You're here making that happen.
400 volunteers came out to plant 173 new trees in the North Hollywood area as part of a beautification project. The project will transform a concreted corridor into a greenway potted with drought-resilient street trees.
They help save energy, they help save, money, they help save all kinds of things just by planting a tree in your neighborhood and taking care of it. It's something really easy that you can do that's great for your home value, it's great for the environment.
The planting is on a 1.6-mile stretch of Vinland Avenue between Oxnard Avenue and Strathern Street.
We have all kinds of trees, lemon, lime trees, and we just want to make the city more beautiful.
Beautiful and sustainable for years to come. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
As a formal holiday, Arbor Day was first observed in 1872, but tree planting festivals are as old as civilization. The tree has appeared throughout history and literature as the symbol of life. Well, here's your chance to spay or neuter your cat at no charge. Come out for a senior citizen fair and enjoy free harbor boat tours at the Port of LA. All this in this week's Things to Do. If you own a cat or kitten, here's your chance to get them spayed or neutered for free. Throughout the month of May, LA Animal Services will be offering free cat spay-neuter certificates to all LA City residents, regardless of income levels. By taking advantage of free certificates for cats and kittens, the community will help stem the tide of pet overpopulation that LA Animal Services faces daily in each of the 6 service centers. By spaying or neutering your cat or kitten, you are helping LA Animal Services get one step closer to ending the Los Angeles community's pet overpopulation and help LA Animal Services place more animals in permanent homes. To apply and receive a free certificate the same day, the public is encouraged to visit their nearest LA City Animal Services Center. LA City residents can now also apply for a free certificate online at laspayneuter.com. If you're a senior, don't miss the 10th Annual Senior Symposium and Job Fair. Spend the day visiting a variety of vendors and service providers. Take advantage of the many health screenings offered at no cost. Win a raffle prize donated by vendors in attendance. Listen to guest speakers and presentations and get help in resume building. Meet agencies looking to hire, assist older adults or caregivers, or search for part-time or full-time opportunities. Call 818-705-2345 to RSVP. Free lunch and continental breakfast to those who RSVP. The Senior Fair takes place Saturday, May 19th from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the One Generation Senior Enrichment Center located at 18255 Victory Boulevard in Reseda. As part of World Trade Week, the Port of Los Angeles will host free harbor boat tours. The public tours are 1 hour and will depart every 30 minutes from both Banning's Landing Community Center in Wilmington and the Los Angeles Maritime Museum in San Pedro. For more than 90 years, World Trade Week, an initiative of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, has been the nation's most extensive and unique program of its kind, dedicated to educating the public about the importance and benefits of global trade to the local and U.S. economy. Related events and programs are held throughout Southern California every year in May, coinciding with World Trade Month. The public boat tours take place on Saturday, May 19th from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. For more, visit portoflosangeles.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacitybee.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.